Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is we are going to talk today about informational text. And one of the other things I told you we were going to do was get into close reading of informational text. So in class, we wrote down these 4 different types of informational text. So you should have those written down on the inside cover of your book. What I want you to do now is I want you to go to the next page. And I apologize, this is going to be blurry because I have to use my webcam. All right, so we're going to do our best with what we have and hope it works. Okay, hopefully you have your text in front of you so you can read along with me. If you need to, go ahead and pause this video whenever you find that you're falling behind with the notes, because I'm going to kind of just keep going, and you're definitely going to need to pause every now and then so that you can catch up. So if I go too fast, you have the power of the pause button, so make sure you use that power. Okay. So when we close read, there's a couple steps that we do. The first step is we read the title and we think about, what does the title tell us? We want to activate any knowledge that we might already have about the subject, and the title is a good way to do that. So the title of this page is Key Ideas and Details in Informational Text. So in the title, I do recognize informational text because we just talked about that. I want to think about anything I know about the words key ideas and details. Have I heard this before? Maybe in 3rd grade, maybe so far in 4th grade. Anything I remember, I'm going to write down in the side, right? Or I'll circle or underline anything I find important. The next thing we're going to do when we close read is we're going to divide up the text into sections. And in informational text, there's a couple ways we can do that. One way is by using headings, or another way would be by using paragraphs. Now, I'll let you know that this passage does not have any headings, so we're going to divide up by paragraphs. Now, the paragraphs in this particular text can be divided by these spaces right here. So you notice there's a bigger space here and a bigger space here. That's how this author is separating the paragraph. So what I do is I draw a big fat line separating those paragraphs. So I see 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. The next step is we're going to read each paragraph and we're going to annotate. So I'll show you what that means. Now, again, I know you can't read it on mine. Just follow along on yours. How are readers like detectives? For starters, both readers and detectives are curious. Just as a detective asks questions and hunts for clues, a good reader looks for key ideas and details in a text. When I get to this line and I'm done with this, I'm going to annotate to the side. This is called the margin. In this margin, I'm going to write down what this paragraph told me. What did this paragraph tell me? This paragraph told me that readers are like detectives. Now, we're writing notes. When I say annotate, that's where the word note comes from. So we don't write complete sentence. Remember, we can talk like a caveman or a cookie monster. We can use things like equal signs. So I could say readers equal detectives. How are some readers like detectives? Well, one way is, it says here, for starters, both readers and detectives are curious. I'm going to circle the word curious. Just as detectives ask questions and hunts for clues, a good reader looks for key ideas and details. So readers are like detectives because they are curious, they ask questions, and they hunt for clues. In the next section here, again, I'm going to read the section. I'm going to stop at the end. I'm going to think about what I read and annotate. Being detective-like is important when reading history, science, technical, and other informational texts. Sometimes the answers to questions about key ideas and details will be as clear as footprints in the sand. That's a good simile. As clear as footprints in the sand. That means obvious, right? They can lead a detective right to a solution. just like they can follow those footprints. Other times, you'll need to read between the lines or footprints to find an answer not directly stated in the text. Now, read between the lines is an idiom. That means you have to infer the answers to the questions. So when I think about what I read, remember we read about footprints in the sand and reading between the lines. That seems to tell me that readers sometimes have obvious clues and sometimes they have to really search for clues, right? So I'm going to say clues can be obvious or I'll say hidden. Next section. In this unit, you'll learn to recognize how one event leads to another and how one thing can cause another to happen. Sounds like cause and effect, doesn't it? You'll also practice putting together what you read with what you know to come up with new ideas. Did you know that you bring your own ideas when you read? With these reading skills, you'll be on your way to solving the mystery of the main idea, what a text is all about. So I notice here it says main idea, and then it's got this thing right here called a colon. This means this author is telling me what a main idea is. So read like a detective. Pick up your magnifying glass, or rather your book, and start reading. So it says we're solving the mystery of the main idea. So all this stuff about readers being detectives, readers looking for clues, all of that is to solve the main idea. And if I look right here, what I boxed in, that's the definition. It says main idea, what a text is all about. When I'm done reading, this is close reading what we're doing, right? We're thinking about the sections. As we read, we're making notes or annotating in the margins. When we're done, we should go back and we should kind of think about how the text, all these sections work together. And I'm going to do that just by reading my notes, right? Readers are detectives. I could look over here at what I circled. They are curious, they ask questions, and they hunt for clues. Sometimes clues are obvious, sometimes they're hidden. All these clues are used to solve the main idea of the text or what the text is all about. So that's just like a preview on how we're going to annotate and use close reading. If you go down to the bottom of this page now, you have a self-check. And again, I apologize you can't see it. I'm going to try to get this camera fixed before tomorrow. But I want you to read each of these statements, and I want you to think about it on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being never, 5 being always. So when you think about each one of these, we're only going to check off, or we're only going to write numbers in this section before this unit. At the end of the unit, we'll go back and we'll do this next section, and we'll see if our numbers changed. So the first one says, I can find the main idea of an informational text. Can I never find the main idea? Can I always find the main idea? Or is it somewhere in between? If you think about a scale of 1 to 5, 3 is like smack dab in the middle. It's like 50-50. 2 would be like, I think I can do it every now and then, but mostly I'm going to have a hard time. 4 would be, I'm almost perfect at it, but I need a little bit more work. So go ahead and write a number in this box. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. This is just you thinking about what you know before the unit begins. The next one, I can explain how key details support the main idea of an informational text. Can I do that? Never. Never can do that. Or I always can do that. Or is it somewhere in between? I can explain what happened and why based on information presented in historical, technical, and scientific text. I think we all know what a historical text is. I think we can probably figure out what a scientific text is. What is a technical text? A technical test or text is a text that'll teach me like how things work, how to do things. That's one of those procedural texts, stuff like that. Sorry, my dog's barking. So never, always, somewhere in between. I can summarize an informational text. Can I write a summary about a text that I read if it's informational? If you don't know what a summary is, maybe you should put never. I can refer to details and examples when explaining and inferring what a text says. So when I explain what I learned, am I able to go back and explain with examples from what I read? Am I able to read between the lines and infer? What do you think? Never, always, somewhere in the middle. When you're finished with this, you're finished with the work for the day. You can now go to the exit ticket. I recommend you use these notes that we just took to complete the exit ticket that's in the Google Classroom. If you have any questions, of course, you are going to come to office hours because that is what a responsible student would do.